Hey guys, if you like this content, I would greatly appreciate it if you guys like the video and subscribed to my channel. It helps make these videos worth it going forward. What's up guys, AllCoinSharper here with a crypto market review. As always, this is not financial advice. I am not an expert to do your own research. Okay, so today I'm just going to be reviewing a lot of the layer ones. Actually, I'll start with Ethereum since, yeah, I mean, I think Ethereum will probably move differently than some of these other charts. Ethereum moves closer to Bitcoin in general. I mean, still higher beta, but still will be safer to hold Ethereum than like these other coins. So yeah, let's take a look. So ETH, I thought this kind of 1,000 to 1,400 area was a strong demand zone. Okay, so I looked, you can see on volume profile here that there is a lot of volume transacted in this area. This was a chart going all the way back to the end of 2020, and this entire area, kind of this 1,000 to $1,400 area, should theoretically be an area of support. With that said, like if this area falls, and I think it's going to be a quick, fairly swift move down to kind of like this $600 area. That's kind of like the area that I'm viewing next if this area falls, this kind of demand zone right here. Anywhere from like 600, or I'm sorry, like 500 to 600 ish area kind of is like kind of the area that I'm viewing. To be determined if Ethereum will hold. Everything's going to depend on Bitcoin. I should preface this by saying that now as well. Like anything that I'm charting right now is really going to be Bitcoin dependent. But for now, the trend is just still very clearly bearish. Lower highs, lower lows all across the board. If this is the bottom, then I would expect another test around this like $1,000 area. I think it's like this area. It's best to think of like an area as a bottom and not necessarily just like a certain price, because generally how bottoms are formed, you'll see like massive volatility, and then you'll see like a return back to the lows eventually. So I'm actually pretty sure that we'll see at least like the $900 area again at least once if this is the bottom. And obviously if it's not the bottom, then we're going to see much lower. Like, you know, we're going to see the $600 level probably eventually if things get really bad with Bitcoin. And yeah, that's kind of like my overall thoughts on Ethereum. Like I personally am still bearish until shown otherwise. Like potentially you could potentially see some sort of like double bottom where this grinds back down and then gets close to the lows or breaks the lows. You maybe see like a swing lower and then higher. That's certainly a possibility for Ethereum. But in terms of like the lower time frame charts, I don't really see anything that shows anything to be bearish, or I'm sorry, bullish. It's just a slow grind down. It's just lower highs, lower lows. It just doesn't really look very good in general. So yeah, I think that right now it's just bearish until shown otherwise. I wouldn't be surprised again to see like this $900 tested level tested, and that's kind of in the midterm. Like for now, like there are some short support levels that like this $1,050 area should be an area of support. You know, so we might see some sort of like quick bounces around that time, but I don't necessarily think that the overall macro bottom is necessarily in quite yet for Ethereum. You know, if you look on, as I said, the weekly chart, you could maybe start charting. So this $900 level, the $800 level, kind of these old weekly highs back in 2018, and then ultimately this like $500 level. These are all going to be kind of these interesting kind of support levels that Ethereum will have on the way down. You know, if you're a long-term holder of Ethereum, I personally still believe in crypto. I think that this is going to be okay eventually. Not a bad idea to start accumulating. You just buy and then just hold. I mean, most investors are just buy and holders, so like it's fine just to like eat the drawdown if you have like a multi-year time horizon, because like, you know, 3 years down the line, $1,000 Ethereum should be pretty cheap, or $800 Ethereum should be pretty cheap relative to what the price will be if crypto is to succeed. So yeah, that's quickly on Ethereum. Let's look at Solana here. Okay, here's Solana. Solana weekly chart is obviously looking pretty grim in general. You have this weekly level close to where price hit. It might have hit this on some exchanges around $25 or so. This weekly chart was like a really solid area of support that we saw back in 2021, and price is kind of bouncing around that area now. Again, similar to Ethereum, I don't really see this as a bullish trend at all. This is still lower highs and lower lows on the daily, and the one maybe saving grace is that we're seeing some volume come in around this $25 level that we haven't seen in many months. And obviously the volume indicator is exchange specific, so it's not as useful as it used to be in the past, given how many exchanges there are right now. But I do think that it's something to be noted that there are maybe more people defending this area than there were back the last few months. With that said, it's still not a bullish context at all. It's still lower high. Again, if this is the bottom, I wouldn't be surprised to see $25 get tapped again. And obviously, if it's not the bottom, then it's going to go much lower. If I were to say an area that it might go to, $20 is obviously the next level up. And then you have kind of this bullish consolidation right around this kind of $17 to $10 level. I know that's a pretty big range. 17 to 11, I guess, is kind of an area that I would also view. But I don't really think that this is going to, I don't think that you can really call a bottom on this quite yet. There's still probably a lot of carnage left with the macro. So, Solana is a very strong project still, in my opinion. Still one of the best non-EVM chains, et cetera, but I think that it probably still has a little bit lower to go. The trend is still bearish, so for now, you can maybe see on lower time frame charts that this area might have some support, right here, but because that was the last kind of low that was formed here. So if this is to maintain a bullish market structure on the 4 hour, you can maybe call this a bullish market structure on the 4 hour in the sense that there are some higher highs and higher lows. Especially if you go down to lower time frame charts, you can start to see these highs and lows overall. But the overall the high time frame market structure is undeniably bearish. So take it with a very small grain of salt. So, yeah, overall, as I said, this, if you want to call this last low, a significant low around $33, then this area needs to be held. And if price closes below this on high time frame charts or the 4 hour, then it's probably just done. You can just probably assume that the next bounce will be maybe $30 or something like that, or maybe kind of this $26 to $30 area. Would be my next assumption. So still bearish until shown otherwise. Let's look at Matic. Matic had a nice little run, but ultimately it's just going to be another lower high, in my opinion. You can see it getting pushed down. There was high volume, but again, this volume indicator is not so useful in my opinion. You can see some of these wicks too. These wicks are generally going to provide some decent SR levels, generally speaking. But as I said, this area should provide some short-term support, but it's looking like it's getting sold off pretty strongly with the sell volume. So, yeah, I don't really think this is really a buy, to be frank and honest with you. Again, if it's going to look like a bottom, you're going to see a lot of spike down, mean reversion, move up, Lots of volatility. You'll see another move down, move up to the range. This is like very common price action. So if this is the bottom, then you'll see 32 cents again, in my opinion. Like if you want to hold that, or like hold Matic as like a like long-term hold because you like it, then I think that I think you can just like go ahead and wait till like the 35 area to like start accumulating. That's kind of like where I would look if you wanted to hold this for the long term. And obviously, like, this might not just be the bottom. Like it's quite possible that on the weekly time frame charts, we just see like this go like much lower. Like maybe it will go to like, you know, if things go really bad, who knows? Maybe it'll go to like 10 cents again. You know, it's possible. You never really know. But for now, as I said, it still looks pretty bearish to me. Like I don't see any reason to straight long this, other than the fact that this is like, these swing lows usually provide good SR levels. So with that said, you might like see some sort of dip underneath, grab some liquidity, and then a reclaim. At that point, you could consider longing this, but until that time, it's a little bit risky in my opinion. I was actually pretty sure that this was going to come down, though, and unfortunately I wasn't around to really trade it. But whenever you see a large gap in between the EMAs and price, especially the lagging EMA, then you know that generally speaking, this first test of the lagging EMA is going to be bearish. And you can kind of see this too. This wasn't as good of an example because price was somewhat close to like this EMA. But because there's like a large gap between price and the lagging EMA, you'll generally see it get pushed down. So like what happens is, you know, you'll see this EMA be kind of like slow, and then price is like really headed lower. And then you'll see like a strong move up that's like an illiquid move, and it's inefficient. And usually at that point, you'll see price hit this EMA, the lagging EMA, and at that point, usually it's pretty strong. It's a good area to short, in my opinion. I saw this and I observed this, but I wasn't really. I was still traveling. I wasn't really in tune with the market quite yet. So didn't really have an opportunity to trade this. But yeah, still a decent opportunity. So at this point, like in terms of short-term opportunities, you probably can consider looking for some longs as a scalp. Again, it depends on your trading style too. Like maybe you are like a swing trader, maybe you're a scalper, maybe you're a long-term buy and holder. You know, different trades are going to have different opportunities. If I were to look at this, I would probably start longing around the 0.618. I think that's a decent area to short-term long. And I would be targeting something like 51 cents, 52 cents, and then expecting it to come lower. So that's what I would personally do as a scalp. Or you can just wait until the bounce and then start shorting around 52 cents. That's probably what I'm going to be doing now that I'm a little bit more active with the market. So yeah, I think that Matic summary is just still bearish until shown otherwise. There are some short-term trading opportunities though, in my opinion. Let's look at Avax. Avax looks quite bad, as everything else does. I think that ultimately, if Bitcoin shits the bed, then I think you're going to see something like this $9 level tagged, and potentially even lower. It's like not that far away, relatively speaking. You know, Avax as a chain is like one of the more promising EVM chains, in my opinion. There's a lot of projects still on there relative to other chains. But you know, just like everything else, it's going to die, just like everything else in the bear market. So, kind of view this kind of $12 to $9 area as like an area that you can consider buying Avax. But you know, if things get quite bad, then you're going to see this go down to $5. Yeah, you'll see this go down to 5 or whatever. Like, pretty ugly, but don't expect that personally. I think that this is more likely just to go to kind of like this $9 area. If things get bad, it's going to go for another 50% lower from what it currently is. That's like the high time frame view. Like again, mid time frame view on the daily, again, still bearish until shown otherwise. No higher, it's still lower highs and lower lows. If this is the bottom, similar to the other charts, you'll see 1370 or so get tagged again, or around there, maybe 14. Maybe you see some sort of double bottom action, like where it comes back down and then comes back up again. But again, I feel pretty confident that $14 will get tagged. So don't necessarily buy here unless you're looking to scalp. But this also had the same setup as well on the EMA setup that I was talking about before, where again you see a large gap between this red EMA, the 200 EMA, and price. And when price gets close to it, it didn't even quite reach it. Like if it had reached it, then I think that you would have seen, like, obviously it would come down, but it didn't even have the strength to reach this, and then it started coming down. So there are a lot of like just straight price action things that you could have done too, in terms of finding like levels for shorting. Like obviously didn't have the strength to break up past this 2120, kind of this 2120 level on high time frame charts before heading down. But yeah, usually these EMAs are pretty good indicators that you can use in addition to price action to long or short, depending on the context. But as I said, similar to the other charts, this is not really, it's still bearish until shown otherwise. I don't really see this as, a good longing opportunity quite yet. If I would view something like $14 as a decent longing opportunity in the short term, though. So let me be clear on that. And again, similar, it depends really on how you trade and kind of your overall style. BNB is the last one that I will view. BNB actually looked stronger than some of the other ones, but it's still going to get destroyed, similar to everything else. Clean up this chart a little bit. So we are seeing this red EMA, 200 EMA on the weekly get tagged as support for now, but like to be determined if this is going to hold up as support. One thing about BNB is that it has a really long way to fall if this comes lower. Like there was this kind of like large inefficient move that happened back in 2021, where price went from $40 all the way up to like 650 or 700. And if this kind of support level fails, then I think that you are not going to see many other support areas other than like this small demand area around 130 to 100-ish. Kind of this 100 to 150 area. Well, no, so this is like what, 120 to 150. I think this is like the next area up. That's like the only really support level, in my opinion, that I can see if this current level falls. Like you can see this act as support several times. And just around here, right? Like it's just around, like you see these wicks, and this wick obviously held up once again, but again, the demand is going to get weaker and weaker. So, like this swing low down at 180, similar to this level here, this will be like the next level up. And I do, again, similar to the other charts, I think that this kind of 180 level will get tested again, to be determined if this is going to hold up or not. Like we might see another like kind of weak low, like a lower high, and then we'll just see it like break through. That's kind of like a scenario that I'm viewing as well, where it's just a lower high compared to like the last high that was established back in May. So not really looking great for BNB. Similar to the other ones, still a bearish market structure, and still just thinking that this is just like not really necessarily the ultimate bottom yet. So yeah, I mean, all these charts really look similar, as you can see. Like, you see like long riding down, then we saw like this last move, and we kind of see this like weird lower high that got formed. Now price is kind of grinding back lower. So to be determined if these levels are going to hold up or not. My guess is, I mean, as I said, it's really going to depend on Bitcoin for all of this. So anyways, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you for the support. Glad to be doing these again.